Hello everybody, it's Star Raptor here. Welcome to my spoiler-free review of Game of Thrones Season 7. The three main plot lines revolved around Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen, and Cersei Lannister. And by the end of the season, they're all kind of working with each other to neutralize the threat of the Whitewalkers. And that's kind of the season in a nutshell, getting all these moving pieces, all these characters kind of coordinating to really figure out what the biggest threat is and trying to protect themselves from that. Getting into the things I liked about this season of Game of Thrones, first off, the epic battles. Every year they seem to top themselves. Last year we had the Battle of the Bastards, and this year we have three kind of big battles in Game of Thrones. First off, we had the naval battle, which we hadn't really seen before with the Greyjoys. Then the next battle we had was the first inclusion of the dragons of Daenerys and Drogon, and we had the Khalasar of the Dothraki against the Lannisters, and it just got crushed. It was just so visceral. It was just so cinematic is the word I'm looking for, because wow, the camera angles they are using, and just, I watched some behind the scenes stuff, and it's amazing how they're able to do this on TV. Also worth noting is Beyond the Wall, that episode when they were fighting against, it was like the Magnificent Seven or the Suicide Squad. You had all these ragtag characters getting together trying to get this Whitewalker out of there, and it was just chaos ensued, and it was just amazing seeing the dragons come in and trying to kill all and trying to escort them out of there. It was just nuts and just so good. Another thing I enjoyed about the season is we're getting these mysteries that have been kind of lying around for the longest time. We're seeing how Game of Thrones came to be all the way from season 1. We're seeing the puzzle pieces kind of fitting now, and we're seeing how they're all coming back to ground one and stage one, and it's just so fulfilling as a fan, being like playing the long game. The Game of Thrones has always been the long game kind of TV show, and now that we're at the end, we had enough of these episodes that are like setup episodes. Now we're at the point where we are getting the ramifications of lots of events. The threat of the White Walkers is something that was definitely a positive in my book for this season of Game of Thrones. You always have this looming threat, and now we are finally having characters that are taking this threat seriously. Jon Snow has seen it with his own two eyes, and he is left to persuade others until, well, they see it for themselves. Something else I enjoyed about this season of Game of Thrones was the fact that the characters were kind of coming back to each other. We had characters that used to be enemies, characters that used to be friends, family, and we just see where the end game is. This is the end game. These characters are finally getting together. The risk is strong because we do have a lot of these characters that we all love now, and they're all in the same kind of scenario, so it's just who is the strongest character, who is going to survive. Speaking of the characters, I did like how we're seeing a lot of their character arcs kind of getting to the point where they are being fulfilled. So we have characters like Bran, who is now the three-eyed raven in all forms of it. We have characters like Jaime, who at this point has deserted the Lannisters, it looks like, if we've watched the last episode. And we have characters like Jon Snow, who hasn't learned of his lineage yet, but he has gotten to the point where it's like all he cares about is the White Walkers, the threat that winter brings. And he is going to be that stalwart defender against those forces for humanity. People like Samwell Tarly, who was originally going to be a Meister in Old Town, he realizes, hey, I'm not doing any use over here. I got to go back and help my friends. So it's really nice seeing a lot of these characters just finding who they're meant to be. As much as I like this season, there were a few negatives that I have to list. So first off, with a shorter season, because most seasons, all of the seasons of Game of Thrones have been 10 episodes. Until this point, this was 7 episodes. And, well, with 7 episodes, a lot of the times in these episodes, there were parts of travel where there's characters going from, like, Dorne to, the Red Keep, and from there to Eastwatch by the Sea, and from Dragonstone to Casterly Rock, all the way halfway across the continent, pretty much. And it's just, okay, it gets a little bit hard to believe that they can move that fast. And that kind of just builds into the other criticisms I have. With a shorter season, there's less focus on a lot of the minor characters. We have less locations, so it doesn't feel quite as grand as the previous seasons of Game of Thrones. And just, the shorter season, I mean, I want as much Game of Thrones as I can get. So just knowing that we only have 6 episodes left, it's kind of a bummer, but it's really just a nitpick. So with that being said, I'm going to have to give Game of Thrones Season 7 a score of a 9 out of 10. This isn't my favorite season of Game of Thrones because that would go to Season 6, but there are so many great moments, so many moments that call back to prior seasons, even Season 1 for that matter, and the epic battles and the characters intersecting paths that I didn't foresee. It's just, this is why this is one of my favorite TV series of all time, and I can't wait for Season 8. Whenever that's going to be coming out here, maybe not till 2019, but they could take all the time they need because there's only going to be 6 episodes left and then it's over with. But you can actually relive my excitement with the series by checking out my other series called Recap of Thrones. From Season 6 onward, I've been breaking down each episode of Game of Thrones, so make sure you check them out. Also on our channel, I have plenty of Star Wars content as well as other TV series and movie reviews. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any new content coming to the channel. I want to thank you guys for watching. I'm Star Raptor, and bye-bye. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Star Raptor.